That's good. This, I think it's good. Copy that. Oh, there we go. What's this? Oh, a notification. That's always a rare thing from this device. Oh, it's an old shitty thing about it. Go away. All right, pop open the other device. Sup, Denny? Sup, Ape? How you guys doing? Hopefully quite well this evening. We got some games to go over here tonight. Of course, should be a pretty fun stream. Should be a pretty good week. A lot of craziness has happened in the last couple days. Sup, Jason? Sup, James? How you guys doing? Appreciate the thumbs up. Helps the stream out quite a bit early on. Sup, Mr. Smokey? Yeah, liking the stream always helps it out. Well, I would say there's been a number of injuries that have happened today that seem pretty significant. Taylor Lewan of the Titans, their left tackle's out for the season. You also have the Buffalo Bills lost their star safety Micah Hyde with a neck hernia. He's out for the season. I would say those are probably your more significant injuries of the day, plus a number of small ones. Yeah, Johnny, I have a whole bunch. You can check the channel. They're up as usual. Make sure you check them out every Tuesday. We like to upload. What's up, Karam? Are you down 24-17? Oof. Yeah, hopefully they do come back. Watching the Sooners. Oh, nice. Yeah, it's college football day today. But yeah, Johnny, we got them always as posted. But yeah, we got a nice full week. Of course, we already had Thursday Night Football. We start off 1-0 in our picks this week. I've been thinking if I'm already in the business of changing a pick because of the Bills situation. But when we get to it, I don't think I'm going to change my pick. The way I'm kind of leaning at this point. Yeah, I know like the Bills have problems on defense now, but again, they still have their very aggressive pass rush, which is I think Jordan Phillips is out as well. What's up, Mike? But I mean, they still got Von Miller and everybody else, so that's still quite the problem for most teams. And then you also have to consider the fact that the Dolphins are still dealing with a number of injuries on their defense as well, including Byron Jones still being out. So you have to kind of like weigh like what you like, and you just seen the Ravens just torch them all day, and I don't think they got anybody back that would prevent the Bills from doing that. So changing to the Lions, possible. Something yesterday was Mac Jones, cadence something like 180. Oh yeah, that's just a common. Those are just cadence words. A lot of those words don't really mean anything. I found out through my life. I figured out a lot of that's just like words to throw into the offense to just have like a cadence. Some teams will just be like, make sure you call out a color and a celebrity. Some teams will be like there's just like certain tells at the line. Like Jared Goff has a celebrity cadence. He probably picked it up from Cam Newton. I think so. It's like Jared Goff yelling out Halle Berry all the time. Peyton would yell out Omaha. There's always just some weird thing to somebody's cadence where it's just something they picked up. And oftentimes those don't really mean anything grand. But I don't know. You guys ready to get started? It's already pretty full in here for what we're used to for one of these kind of streams. So we ready to get started? We got the Saints in the pan. Oh yeah, you know what I should probably pull up? The lines. NFL FanDuel as always. FanDuel is always a good way to use it. Gamble responsibly if you do this. We just like to see what the public likes to think of a game, and how they've been playing it. So let's see. The Saints are 2.5-point favorites. The over/under is 41.5, so they think it'll be about a 42-point game. What's up, Jacob? So Saints come in as favorites, which is pretty well expected. I hope we can beat the Ravens. We'll see about that. With this game, I still am very questioning what the hell the Saints are. We still have Alvin Kamara at some kind of health status. We have Jameis Winston dealing with back problems. We've got Mike Thomas, who I don't even know what his health condition is. Like, I look up and down this Saints team, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of injuries. And then I go look at the Panthers team, and like, man, this team is wildly underplayed. And it's just like, well, what do I think's going to happen? Like, something has to get. And the Saints haven't played very well either. They didn't look good at all against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team they have literally always beaten. So there's a few things that start to weigh on me about this game, about the Saints and them being like favorites and winning. We'll get to the Titans. We have a lot of games to get through. We got the Patriots. We got the Titans to wait through. We got a bunch of games that we'll get to. We're at the Saints and the Panthers. I can't just give my opinion already. You know what I mean? I can't just jump all the way down and jump way ahead of the line, because then there's no order to this thing. It gets hard to remember what games are done, and trust me, it's much easier just to run through the shit games and then plow and get to the good ones. So when I look at overall health, when I look at everything like that, I look at, you know, if like the Saints were a healthy team, I'd pick the Saints, and I wouldn't even look twice about this game. But right now, with the way the Saints have kind of played with the health problems, I'm kind of leaning Panthers in this one. If not, I mean, the Panthers season's probably over. All right. Well, this next game doesn't probably have too much of shit to talk about. Does anybody even really care about what the line in this game is? Let's see. The Bears are favored by 3 with an over-under of 39.5. So not a lot is expected out of this particular game. And I don't really have a lot to add to it. Both teams have kind of been meh so far. The Texans going 0-1-1. The Bears are 1-1. Bears looked actually halfway decent against the Packers, but it was kind of a lot of kind of screwy officiating going on in that game. A lot of very questionable situations being called by the referees. So I'll go with the Bears in this one because they're not playing like a real team. You got the Bears. You got the Browns, Steelers. How was the game, Browns and Steelers? Then he says he got the Saints 20-15. The offense lets Jameis. Just looks at C, but after all the injuries, they will not let Jameis try. Yeah, we'll see. The disrespect to the best young QBs in the NFL is unreal. Who are the best young QBs in the NFL? Doesn't you take a better work? Yeah, that should work. Yeah, that's about all we need really for Davis Mills and Justin Fields. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot. The toilet bowl. Yeah. So far, I'm just sticking with my picks and sticking with the Bears in this one. Like, there's a few games where you can just kind of like bounce around and ignore tomorrow. The first 2 games of the slate are those 2 games. Like, oh well, that's unfortunate. This is a bag full of fucking awfulness. Usually, this is a good game. The Colts and the Chiefs at Colts. Like, usually that's one of your top games of a weekend. That's usually a show stealer for a weekend, actually. At least the last few times the Colts and Texans, or the Chiefs and Colts have played together. Where the hell is their game? There it is. Chiefs come in at 5.5 point favorites with an over/under of 50.5. So we look at that and we have to consider. What's up, that one guy? What's up? I seen somebody else come in. What's up, Daniel? What's up, that one guy? How you guys doing? What's up, Benjamin? How you guys doing? Oh, your team won? That's good. Sunday night is Broncos versus 49ers, and I'm not watching it. Tigers are winning? Hell yeah. Bears win 27. You got the Bears? Okay. Wentz versus Hurts is going to be funny. Yeah, it's going to be really good. It might be hilarious if the Commanders beat him. But if he does too much and tries to win the game like a hero and be like the star, yeah, he's going to mess it all up. But yeah, hopefully, Jacob, you had fun at the game you went to. All right, though. Chiefs and Colts. At any other point in the year, you would probably, like, you would pick the Colts to kind of stay in this game and be the team that could upset the Chiefs because they've done so in the past with much worse football teams, right? But right now, what's up, Steelers Nation? We're at the Chiefs and Colts game. We just got done with the first two. Any other like scenario, even if this game maybe comes week 7 or week 8, once the Colts like get the, I don't know what the hell's going on with them, out of their ass and starts playing football, we'll quickly see the Colts recover into what they usually are. But right now we're dealing with a Colts team that doesn't have any chemistry. The rhythm's off. They just don't really have any kind of coherence to them at this point in time. You know what I mean? It just, a lot is off right now with the Indianapolis Colts. They feel it. By the way, thank you for the likes. If you haven't left one, consider doing so. It'll help get the stream out there, help get it noticed. Yeah, because usually Frank Reich can scheme up a game plan, and they probably still will defensively keep the Chiefs kind of at bay. But I don't really see the offense doing much. Their offense has been dead in the water this season. I think a lot of you guys predicting massive blowouts misunderstand the way the Colts play against the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Do you know they always look like, you guys are acting like this is like the worst they've ever looked, and it's like, well, have you guys ever seen them play the Jaguars before in Jacksonville? Oh, it gets much worse than that. They've lost more embarrassingly than that shutout. I've seen like 42-7s and shit like that. That's much worse. Like, at least they kept it to 24 and their defense somewhat stayed alive in the game. Their offense literally does nothing with the ball. And you can't really blame them when you got a 90-year-old quarterback and you don't have any wide receivers. Like, there's like a lot of problems with the way that the Colts are doing things right now. Dude, the Jags literally, yeah, dude, exactly. Literally, they like win by hilarious scores at home versus the Colts. If you actually look it up, it's like, whoa. So I get people predicting blowouts because of the way Indy has played, but they're probably going to look a lot better this game. Will it be a win for the Chiefs? Yeah, they're going to win this game. Again, if this was at any point in the season, like later than right now when the Colts actually get their shit together, but right, they drew a short end of the stick on playing the Chiefs. I don't think they can pull off their weird voodoo magic. But again, they're playing vanilla right now simply because they're dealing with like all their receivers being hurt. It's like this really weird situation right now where if you're not like plugged into like the Colts like weird media people, you don't know like that they're dealing with like 4 receiver injuries, and it's like, oh, okay, so once that all kind of rusts away and they kind of get things going, they'll be a normal Colts team. But until then, you know, it's going to be rough sailing. For a team with, I believe, a first place schedule, because I think they lost that division, didn't they? I don't think they missed the playoffs, so I don't know. Anyway, all right. Well, let's get on to the most boring game of all time: the Bills versus the Dolphins. If this was 2016, you know, isn't that crazy? 5 years ago, or even 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, you'd skip this game. You'd be like, ugh. You'd literally say the words. You'd have this reaction to seeing the Bills at You'd be like, ugh. Why is that a game getting any attention? And now we have what is arguably the game of the week. Arguably, this is the most important game either one of these two teams has played outside of Buffalo. Like, this is the most important Bills-Dolphins regular season matchup in a very long time. Like, a very, very long time. Josh Allen has a pretty good record on my... Oh, yeah, really good record. Now, I think the records need to be adjusted. Now, when I tell you the news that I'm going to tell you... Yeah, I'm not changing my pick either, as I discussed earlier and kind of alluded to. I think I'm going to stick with the Bills in this game. But does anybody change their pick when I tell you the following players are not playing for the Bills? Now, we know they have a great secondary, right? They've got Trey White, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, right? Like, those guys are all really good. They've got that other guy and some other dudes. Well, the first 3 guys I mentioned, right? They're like all pro safeties, and Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, they're out tomorrow. Micah Hyde's out for the rest of the season with an unfortunate neck hernia. I hope he recovers. Hopefully but again, he's a 31-year-old man, turning 32, I believe, next season. So when you think about that, he's a 32-year-old safety with a neck injury. That could be all she wrote on him, by the way. Like, that's real. Like, I'm actually really sad for the guy because he's a great safety. And that's one of my secret favorite positions is safety. And it's just like, oh, man, that's not good. I really hope he can recover from that because the way the safety position's played, you kind of fly around, you bash shit in, you kind of hit things very hard and aggressively. You're basically like a very thin, fast linebacker that could hit like harder than a linebacker at times. And Micah Hyde has all of those things going on for him. And I don't, man, I really hope he can recover to play because a herniated disc in the neck is not, it's not pretty. It's not good for long-term football play, especially. So you got to consider those things for the Bills. They're going to be without Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, their best safeties. They're without Trey White still in this game. They do have the other side of their defense. And they still have most of their pass rush with Von Miller. But they are also without Jordan Phillips, their defensive tackle, who's quite good. But the thing the Bills do well is they rotate a bunch of defensive linemen in, so that's kind of irrelevant. So expect this game to be a shootout. I wouldn't put it past Miami to put this to a one-score 42-38 type game, like one of them type finals where it's almost exactly the score that they just had against the Ravens, but maybe flip-flop, maybe even 45-42, some kind of very high-scoring, high-throttle affair where both teams are very dangerous offensively. The Bills are not without their own injuries. They're without one of their star players in Tre'Davious White. No, wait, I already said him. The Bills are without, I think, Byron Jones still, or the Dolphins, sorry. So, I mean, good luck defending the Bills and their plethora of receiving options, or just Josh Allen. I mean, these two quarterbacks, what's up, Alex? These two quarterbacks and these two offenses that have been white hot the last 2 weeks, especially the Dolphins, or the Bills, the Dolphins, not so much. It was just last week. It's going to be dangerous. That's going to be a dangerous game for defenses. And you also have to wonder, like, what team do you trust to not make a mistake with the ball? And that's got to be the Bills, right? Like, so on all angles where you're looking at injuries, you're like, yeah, the Bills have some bad injuries, but like, I trust Josh Allen a little bit more than Miami. It just feels like the injuries to the Dolphins or to the Bills just bring them. It goes like this. It brings the Bills down from like their ivory tower against the Dolphins down to about here, and you're like, they still got this big advantage over everybody. And he's playing quarterback. He can throw really good. He can fucking run over people. He's basically 2015 Cam Newton come back to life with a little bit different skin on. And look at what we got. He's just basically, he throws a little better, doesn't run as naturally good. But that's what I mean. Like, does it matter how much they're hurt? I don't fucking think so. Well, you're gonna. This is the one team where Buffalo has to look around at themselves and go, I don't know if our strategy of if the defense breaks down, we're just gonna outscore everybody can work on these guys. But we're about to find out how good this Bills defense actually is because they're down to the slim pickings. But what's up though, Alex? I'm sorry if I didn't say anything. Stephon Gilmore, he plays for the. He's on an enemy team now. What the hell? Where was he playing? Is it Carolina? No, he went somewhere new. Indianapolis. That's right. That's right, Mike. Yeah, I thought so. All right. So I think that's enough for that game. I'm thinking I'm going to stick with the Bills like I was saying. I think we've all kind of got our points out. We already got some opinions on the Lions and Vikings. For Detroit, I like the pace that they're playing at. They're finally scoring points on offense. Defense is looking solid. I think Detroit is a sleeper this year. Lions win. Who must be 34, 35? Gilmore? Yeah, he's like 33, 34, something like that. America's team versus the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, boy. You got quite the game here, huh? It's hard with the Vikings because you don't know if they're the team that beat the Packers or if it's just like there's like this new thing. If you go look it up, the Packers like can't seem to beat Kirk Cousins. But the thing is, the Lions also, it doesn't really matter if it's Kirk Cousins or any other random ass Vikings quarterback that's been there. The Vikings have been just destroying the Lions whenever they show up in Minnesota's house. I'm really hoping that, like he said, like a guy like Swift is able to play a little bit longer and his injuries aren't as bad because he's averaging 10 yards a carry, by the way. I believe it's exactly 10 yards because everybody was like freaking out about DeAndre Swift's season so far, right? And I'm wondering, like I'm looking around and I'm like, why is everyone freaking out about DeAndre Swift? And then I went and looked at his numbers and I went, dude, this doesn't even seem right. 20 carries, 200 yards. And I'm like, those seem like cartoonish, like exact numbers. Like how does he have exactly 10 yards a carry? It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. This dude gets exactly 100 and the Lions go, yeah, we win. Or they just need to throw the ball, so they abandon the run, and he's kind of dealing with some injuries, so it's best they get, kind of limit him. He's crazy, Swift. He literally seems like a top running back in the league as soon as he stops dealing with like a weird injury that he's got. Yeah, the Lions are legit. They seem like a good team. They've got great coaching up and down the front. The players have fully bought into the culture, the system the coach is trying to create. I really like everything about Detroit was hilarious until it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like all last year was one of them things where if it works in Detroit, it's really actually going to work. And by all looks, it's really actually like it was either, oh, this is going to be a sinking ship disaster, or it was going to be the polar opposite. Remember all the jokes. It was one or the other. Sinking ship disaster immediately, or the Lions are going to, this will fundamentally change football in Detroit. And now look where we are about a year and a little bit later. This is what the Lions needed. This is something they've been needing for a very, very long time in Detroit. Bills average ranking yards and points 3.5. Dolphins 14.8. Oh, and on the season, that's interesting, Greg. The Lions are averaging over 30 points a game. Yeah, they've scored 35 plus points in each game they've played this season and dating back to the last game of last year. That's an incredible run of points. Are they out, or are they just questionable? Questionable. All right, for Swift. I don't know. Lions are a very next up culture. I don't really discount anything about them. We'll see how they play in this game. The Vikings won't take this easy. The Vikings play Detroit very well at home, and the Vikings also are very, very. The one thing the Lions do struggle with is stopping guys like Justin Jefferson. So I'm wondering how they're going to game plan with him, with an already kind of, not the strongest secondary as it stands right now. So there are major questions. Kirk Cousins and company could light this team up. But again, the Lions can score with a lot of these teams now, and that's something Yeah, I know, Denny. You've said that a few times. So I actually expect a shootout, like a 38-35 type game where the Lions actually score into the 30s again. Mainly just because I don't think either defense is going to be super relevant in this game. But again, the Vikings could be a little bit underrated on defense. There were several drives where they just frustrated the shit out of the Eagles offense. The Eagles offense looks stifled. If they wouldn't have gotten as many chances as they got thanks to the Vikings offense, Philly probably loses that game. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Philly I feel like when I watched that game, Philadelphia always had the football. I'd look up, the Vikings would get the ball, and then it'd be some of the like worst throws you've ever seen from Kirk Cousins in a row, and then they'd give the ball back, and the Eagles would have the ball again. It'd be literally, if you count to 70, the drive would have been over, and they're punting it. It was fast with how fast the Vikings were. Just here's the ball back, here's the ball back, here's the ball back. But all right, yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Lions in this one. I'm fine if I get it wrong. I know I should pick the Vikings, but I'm buying into the Kool-Aid. I'm biting kneecaps. Plus, like, I don't know if Kirk Cousins is ready for grit culture. All right, Ravens at Patriots, the second game of the week. Probably a little bit better of a game than the Bills and Dolphins, who don't really have defenses. I saw you had us beating Dallas. Yeah. Well, that won't last too long because he's playing Cooper Rush. Patriots know how to manage Lamar and finds holes to win. It's a head-scratcher of a game. Yeah, it's one of those games where you have to know the two teams and how they seem to play against each other. The Ravens have no problem beating the Patriots in New England, so you just got to remove that factor. They're like always you know how like there's always like 3 wins or something on the weird side of Brady's stats. 90% of the time, it's the Ravens that have those wins. It's always the Ravens. It's like, wow, the Patriots have only lost 3 home playoff games. Who are they to? Oh, twice to the Ravens and once to the Jets. That's a hilarious slew of teams to lose games to. Yeah, Ronnie Staley is out, by the way. Their very important left tackle is not even traveling with the team. They do get J.K. Dobbins back, so that's big for the Ravens. I don't know what the hell's going on with Devin Duvernay. Did they announce that yet? If Duvernay doesn't play, I have the Patriots winning with like relative ease. I don't even think they'll contend with us. Again, we figured out how to play Lamar when we beat him with Cam Newton. We fundamentally finally figured out how to play this goddamn Ravens team with Lamar Jackson. And it'll be a very fun, close game because I don't know if our offense can handle the Ravens. That's always been a problem for us, too, is we don't really play them very well. So this is going to be like a 2017 Patriots win. It's not going to be pretty. But I don't know if the Ravens are healthy enough to handle us right now on defense. What's up, Packers Nation? Now, if they have Duvernay playing, that kind of changes things a little bit for me and how I decide this game. But, I mean, the Steelers have a much better receiving core than the Patriots, and they couldn't do anything against us. Outside of literally just every so often, Jalen Mills would be out of position, so they get a mercy shot downfield. Yeah, Sunday night, we're not watching that game. By the way, a quick announcement. We won't be watching Sunday Night Football. The games we're covering, just because we're kind of in like a low point, would be the Ravens and Patriots, of course. I can't wait to watch a Lions game on stream. God damn. And then we're just going to kind of go off the air for like 10 minutes and come back on the air, and we're going to do Packers at Bucks. There's like 0% reason to cover the 49ers and the Broncos. I'm sorry, but that game, it looks like it's going to suck. Like, if it was like week 7 when both teams are warmed up and playing regular football and Russell Wilson settled in, yeah, that's actually a pretty solid match. Like, there's a lot of games where it's like, oh, why the fuck weren't you later in the season? Like the Colts and Chiefs. Why aren't you later? Oh, can you flip different teams? Oh, the Packers and the Bucks. Why aren't you later? Like, these are some really good matchups that we're getting way too early in the season. And it's like, damn, dude, I'm glad we're not getting any goddamn once-a-year matchups. This the Patriots-Ravens games is another one where you'd rather see the Ravens and Patriots, like, at their full abilities midway through the season. But instead, we're getting it week 3. Okay, but yeah, kind of small transition away from the streams tomorrow to back to today. But yeah, Ravens, Patriots, you got Staley out. You have Duvernay questionable with a concussion. The Patriots are pretty healthy overall. I think we're dealing with like some bumps and some nicks like anybody else, but I don't think anything too significant other than Jacoby Myers might not play. But then again, if Myers doesn't play, that means Kendrick Bourne's going to play most of the game. So yeah, I think so. I'm probably going to do my like end of Monday Night Football week 3 review stream, where we kind of like recap week 3 just kind of loosely after the end of Monday Night Football. But it depends on when I get home and whatnot and all the timing. Texans winning tomorrow? Hey, maybe. But, you know, Chicago's actually got a decent team. Their offense is like weirdly underrated. But yeah, Patriots and Ravens. I don't really have any reason to go off the Patriots in this game. Like, there's been nothing about this week that's made me like more nervous, but massively less nervous about this game in its entirety as the weeks, because the Ravens have just gotten worse health wise, except J.K. Dobbins. It's like, so everybody else is hurt though. Even Lamar barely practiced this week if he did. He had like a very limited practice, so a banged up Lamar with no left tackle on a line that's already struggling this year, with a limping running back who's coming back off a bad ACL, MCL tear, and only like one good receiver and a tight end that we can deal with. He's dealing with an injury. Lamar is, I believe. It's like an arm or elbow injury or something. He's like gonna be, I bet you he wears a compression sleeve on Sunday if he plays. Well, he's going to, but like I believe he's been wearing like compression gear on his arm all week, and it's interesting. Yeah, your guys' defense is actually pretty solid, Spider. I'll give it credit where it's due. You guys have played pretty good, but you've also ran into a couple situations where it's like, I can't really overvalue their performance there. A Colts team that's getting used to itself, and a Broncos team with the same situation. The Ravens' offensive line kind of sucks. That's why Lamar's dealing with injuries, and they just lost Ronnie Stanley, who's like their best lineman by quite a bit. Arguably one of the better left tackles in football is out tomorrow. And the Patriots have Matthew Judon in what we like to call a revenge game. And guess who's coming home? Guess who's going to see his old buddies, Matthew Judon. Usually I would say different, but tomorrow I feel the Packers win this game. Yeah, we'll get to that game. I mean, it's coming up pretty quick there, Packers Nation. I'm reading what everybody's saying. I'm picking the Jets, believe it or not. Oh, I don't think that's a good idea. It can be extremely difficult to get over that. I think the Jets and Flacco can handle the Bengals just fine. I disagree wildly on the people picking the Jets. I caution you to not overvalue the Jets after last week. Do you know, I think what the Jets pulled off has never happened before. I think it's happened one time in the last, I know McAfee and them looked it up. What was it, like 2,300 games of football? Don't overvalue a fluke win, please. Like, if they can do this again and beat another actual team, then you can look at the Jets and start saying, hey, Rob, I think you might be wrong about them. But until then, that was a fluke win, ladies and gentlemen. Can you not please define to me what more of a fucking fluke-ass win that is in the NFL? I get that the Bengals or the Browns might be bad at recovering onside kicks, so, like, that's whatever. But, like, no other team wins that game. The Browns just fucked that all up. I don't know what they did. I guarantee that had nothing to do with the Jets winning that game and everything to do with the Browns. Yeah, it was in a moment. Yeah, it was one of them rare talk about it for a really long time type of games because we've seen something that never happens. They were down multiple scores with a minute and 58 seconds to go and they won the game. Like we'll never see that shit again. That's some crazy shit. That's something you'd expect to be like, oh, who was the last guy to do that? Oh, it was Tom Brady. Like, you'd literally only expect, like, Tom Brady to be the last guy to do it. Yeah, 30-17 with a minute 55 left. That was with no timeouts left for the Jets, and they win that fucking game. That's crazy to me. And the Browns have the ball. Well, I think they had just scored, but there were a number of mistakes the Browns made that had to have that happen again. So now I know we're looking at the Bengals and the Jets going, well, the Bengals have looked really bad. You have to look at one thing with the Bengals and keep this in mind when you're evaluating the way the Bengals have played this year. It's like, I feel like the media likes to forget about things, and there's this super short memory with the media when they just want to run like, are the Bengals dead narratives? You have to look at the way that they present the story. They're not talking about like maybe like they're just like pointing to like vague reasons as to why the Bengals aren't succeeding. Like they're like, well, the offensive line play. Yeah, that might actually be on Joe Burrow, by the way. I went back and watched some of this. Joe Burrow's holding on to the football for an extraordinarily long. He looks completely rusty. The team looked rusty. They seemed out of play, out of pace. They've looked kind of slow, like they're trying to figure out the offense, like their defense. Their defense looks way more clicked in than their offense does. And their offense looks completely out of whack right now. I'm telling you guys, go watch it. Like, there's timing issues. There's things you usually see wrong with the team in the preseason, wrong with the Bengals right now. And you're like, oh, that's a sign that they've regressed. I disagree. I think it has more to do with the fact that Burrow had a major surgery right before training camp got underway. He had he got his appendix taken out. The thing burst in his body, and they had to remove it right before the training camp started. So he missed the majority of the preseason, just sitting there kind of watching. And I think he got a couple weeks at the end of camp to get in there, and I think like a week or something. I don't even know if he played in a game. So again, he hadn't played in any games since the Super Bowl. And then he goes into week 1. And everyone's like, why hasn't he returned to form yet? Well, because they don't have the ability to yet. I honestly have a feeling like after this, like this might be the start of what could be a 6-game win streak. Because if you were watching that game against the Cowboys, they clicked all of a sudden. It literally went from like the Bengals couldn't figure out anything to like they got it. Like there was a succinct moment where if they'd gotten one more possession against the Cowboys, they'd have won that. They probably, like, if it would have been like, if it goes to overtime, the Cowboys lose that game. Like they 100% would have lost that game. But the Bengals didn't do anything with their their offense finally stopped scoring. Like they were just scoring almost at will in that last little chunk of that game there. If you watched it again, you had to have watched that game, or else you just think that the Bengals were a shit team with no hope and they've regressed miserably and their season's bad. No, they actually kind of looked like they had figured things out. That's probably why you see a low level of concern from anybody related to tangentially to the Bengals, because I think they all understand that they just needed like a few games to get it going, and I think they've got it going. We'll see if I'm right or wrong about that. I'm sticking with the Bengals. I find it crazy that people are actually picking the Jets in this game. They've fallen for it. Receipts. That's my Gary V video impersonation. God, I hate the Jets. Dude, if Burrow hangs 40 points on this team, I'm just going to be like, oh, I'm so happy that just happened to them. What a more deserving team. Then I'm going to go caps lock type to people on Twitter about receipts, all the stupid-ass Jets fans. Ugh. Anyway, that's a pretty fun game, I guess, if you like either one of these teams. But, man, the Jets could make a believer out of a lot of people if they could win this game. This is a big win for that young team. If they're the same old Jets, though, we know how this game's about to turn out. Anyway, let's move on here. We spent enough time on a shit-tier game with two bad teams. Except the Bengals should be good, so I don't really know what's going on there. Here's two teams that are supposed to be good, but are both 0-2 and probably won't make the playoffs, especially the Titans. I have some bad news if you root for Taylor Lewan and company. Taylor Lewan is out for the season. So that's a bit unfortunate. He suffered, I don't remember, back injury, knee injury, foot injury? I don't remember exactly what he did. But I know he is now out for the season, Taylor Lewan is. So the woes of the Tennessee Titans line will continue on into this week. One has to wonder when Roger Saffold will be slid around. And I don't know what they're going to do because they're playing a team with a very hyper-aggressive pass rush in the Las Vegas Raiders. So I have to wonder when I look at things like, well, how are they going to protect their... very mediocre quarterback in Ryan Tannehill? Well, not very well. What about their life-dependent running game? Oh, it's probably going to struggle. Because even Derrick Henry has to have a blocker or two. You know what I mean? Like, he can't just run through everybody. I don't think, anyway. Well, actually, he might be able to. But yeah. You got the Titans? Really? Your head out in a bit? Yeah, we're getting toward the end here anyway. Actually, no, we got a little while to go. Yeah, I don't know. The Titans just like the Raiders beat themselves in that Cardinals game. I still have looked at that game and tried to figure out like what exactly went wrong for the for the Raiders in that game, and it just really feels like they just kind of, I don't know, they just kind of slumped it a bit. They shit the bed, whatever kind of hilarious expression you want to use for a team, like just kind of like fumbling it and pooch kicking it. Like there's a lot of hilarious words you could use to describe what the Raiders did against the Cardinals. Most of it nonsensical. Oh, no, that's not what that was. That's a very bad interpretation of what Bill Belichick said. If not downright stupid. I guess if Mac plays a really shitty year, Bill might try to go after him if he hits free agency. But no, that's a bad interpretation of what was said. Yeah, no, that's just stuff the media said because Belichick said that. See, no, there's two ways to interpret things. There's that take of it, or is Bill Belichick a very big strategist tossing in something into a locker room that has already a ton of volatility around the issue of the starting quarterback's contract? There's already been, multiple team meetings. There's been there's been media drama about it like 3-4 different times this offseason. There's, there's major speculation. There was the deadline given. Then Bill Belichick comes up and gives this statement like, oh, if that was our situation, we'd already signed him. We already would have known the answers to those questions about if he's the face of our team, if he's our franchise guy, if he's a franchise quarterback, and he's like, one of the many young faces. Like he was saying all these things that like you have to go read what Bill Belichick said and not what the media is trying to make out of what he said. What he said was the Patriots would have done all of this. And then you have to listen to what he said afterward. I don't know if the Ravens think that about him. I guess we'll see if the contract that they give him says that. I guess we'll see what the contract says. Basically, what he's implying with that statement is he doesn't know if the Ravens see Lamar Jackson as their starting quarterback of the future, the face of their franchise QB, one of the many young faces of the league, like Bill Belichick would. If that was his quarterback, he'd already been signed, and those questions have already been answered by his play. Do the Ravens think that? Bill Belichick doesn't know because they haven't offered him the contract that he's worth. Now, you could see that as Bill Belichick saying, I want to sign and pay Lamar Jackson. Or you could see it as one of the best coaches of the last 2 decades saying that, yeah, I would have done it. I already would have paid him. So now if you're Lamar Jackson, you think about that. You're like, well, why the hell aren't the Ravens paying me if Bill Belichick said he'd already would have paid me? And then if you're Harbaugh, you're like, fuck, dude. That is it is a very 4D move that if it depends on how the Ravens approached handling that statement, because it got brought up to the Ravens beat reporters about Bill Belichick talking about Lamar's contract and how they would have already paid him and yada yada yada. See, it kind of puts this weird pressure and skiv into the locker room where you're like, wow, it has nothing to do with personnel moves. It has everything to do with just trying to upset the locker room of the team he's about to play, or at least put this weird feeling into the mind of the players. Just do anything to create discord or disunity, to throw them off just a little bit. It's just when you're dealing with a team that might be more talented than you on paper, you got to do what you got to do to chop them down to size a little bit. And if you cause a little animosity, a little bit of weird feeling in the locker room, try anything, right? Discourse, that's right. Discourse, not discord. Yeah, I was looking for the word if you couldn't tell. Yeah, but my Raiders Titans discussion. There we go. Bring it back in really quick. You got 2 teams that haven't won a game. Titans look pretty goddamn miserable. There isn't really much to discuss regarding these 2 teams. Um, I trust the Raiders a little bit more right now than I do the Titans, who look like teams have figured out how to stop Derrick Henry from running. You know, the Titans don't have an offensive line, and they just lost Lawan, so it's getting a little worse. So if the Raiders can commit to continue what everybody else has done and just play a little bit better offense than the other teams, they probably can win this game. So I like the Raiders, and who gives a shit game. Two teams that probably won't make the playoffs after everything's said and done this year. So much for all the fun with the Raiders in the preseason. Let's just hope that's some growing pains, right, Vegas faithful? Because they look worse than the Patriots right now. Anyway, Philadelphia Eagles versus the Commanders. It's Jalen Hurts versus Carson Wentz. Wentz playing against his old team, a revenge game. I guess I have Carson Wentz and the Commanders winning 42-10. About to make the Eagles look completely overrated. Denny, you know Carson Wentz is a commander, right? Are you going to change your pick? Greatest Eagles QB in history, Carson Wentz. Shit, I think that might actually be like a good quarterback. I think that might be Don McNabb. I don't think I can actually say that. Never mind. I forget they have way too good of a franchise history to actually be like, I can just take a guy who was there for 2 years and call him the best ever. It's like, nah, man, they've existed for too long. They got too many guys been there. Oh, yeah, that's true. Big Eagles fan, but Washington should be a close game. Yeah, Washington will keep this game close because they've already proven this season they have a very, very pesky offense in their comeback weird win versus the Jaguars and their near comeback win versus the Lions. So the Eagles are going to have to kind of like stay on their toes, seeing as, yeah, they won very convincingly against primetime Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, who, you know, I don't think Kirk Cousins wins on those. You want to watch out for the Commanders because they've been a very pesky team this year, and the Eagles have not been, though they're 2-0. One of their wins was a very how do I put this? It was a very, very close win against the Detroit Lions, right? It was one of them wins where it was like, yeah, they won the game, and it was never really in doubt. But boy, by the end, I bet you Eagles fans were like, yeah, how about we get the fuck out of this goddamn game? Because if they get the ball again, they're gonna win this game. Why do they keep scoring like this? They're down by 30, and all of a sudden it's a 3-point game. So there's that. There's like this weird part of the Lions, or part of the Eagles rather, where it's not necessarily impossible to come back on them. Sometimes Darius Slay has like just weird fucking just has weird moments where he gets beat, or you can take it to the other side of the field and you can kind of beat them. And the Commanders have the receivers to beat corners. With Terry McLaurin, I think they have another guy who isn't half bad. Either way, they got Scary Terry, and that's more than usually enough to do a lot of damage against. And Jahan Dotson, that's who it was. Dotson's looked really good as a rookie as well. So you might want to watch out for the Commanders if you're an Eagles fan in this one. I wouldn't be too shocked if the Eagles keep it shot. Like, see, like this Eagles fan Joe here, like he said, I'm not very confident. Because again, there are reasons why if you're an Eagles fan, you're like, I don't know. We handled the Vikings very handily, but like our offense didn't do so great for how many times we got the ball. So there's a few question marks. If that Commanders defense is feeling themselves tomorrow, we'll see. But then again, the Lions beat the shit out of the Commanders, so I don't know. All right, I'm gonna stick with the Eagles though. All that being said, I don't really trust the Commanders quite yet. They're too new, and I don't really trust Carson Wentz in this kind of scale of game. I think he's going to try and do some dumb, crazy shit. Again, Carson isn't like a terrible quarterback. Like, because by the numbers, he's great. He just, like, when his mistakes come, they come at, like, the worst opportune situations. Because he's out here trying to be, like, the fucking hero of the game in the second quarter with 13 minutes to go. It's like, Carson, what are you doing, buddy? Why are you acting like it's like the 2-minute warning and you're down by 13? Yeah, they can't. If they do that, they'll let the Commanders will charge right back into it. Speaking of the Chargers, we have the Chargers playing host to the... No. Yeah. That is surprisingly a weakness actually, because their defensive line's actually kind of cracked. Yeah, Eagles are we're supposed to be the thing I tried to tell everybody about that weren't listening anyway, that wasn't already in the know. Don't be shocked about the Eagles. They're a stacked roster front to bottom. The only question you could have that is like a legitimate question and doesn't just seem kind of like weird is Jalen Hurts actually a guy, or was last year what he showed just kind of a fraud mirage type situation? He's more of kind of like a backup. No, he looks like a guy. He looks like every bit of like what you'd expect a starting quarterback to look like year to year to year forward. So that's a positive development, and now he's got a stacked team around him. I wouldn't expect much out of they're going to win a lot of fucking games. If you can't get out ahead of them early and make them play from behind, this is a nightmarish Eagles team to have to play against. Because again, if you start scoring with them, they can score. This team is fast. They are very, very, like, they have very good chemistry together. They don't seem to have any, like, hitches in terms of, like, getting along as a unit. So you should watch out for that. Eagles are a pretty well put together team. Howie Roseman knows what he's doing. Howie, sign him. Names free agent. Eagles fan looks at top 5 free agent players and just circles all of them. Sign them, Howie. Like, there's 2 quarterbacks in there. We'll deal with the 5 quarterback system in Philadelphia. Don't worry about it. Be great going forward, but on the Chargers game, I would take the Jaguars +7, though I was actually going to bet it the over Chargers based off the Justin Herbert injury, which looked bad. Yeah, I mean, he's I'm wondering how that impacts this game. I would imagine not by too much, though, unless the Jaguars are more of what they showed against the Colts. And the Colts win was more along the line, and the Jaguars 24-0 win was more to do with the fact that they just kind of dominate the Colts in in Jacksonville. Kind of hard to tell early in the season. I'm guessing the Jaguars aren't going to be good at all, and that was just kind of like a lucky that's when they played the Colts game, and they always beat the Colts in Indy like really, really badly. And so I kind of lean on that, and the Chargers should just kind of do what they're supposed to. Their defense should just win the game. Well, to be fair, they don't have any receivers down there, Joe, for that team. Yeah, they do it right before the game. Yep, right before kickoff. I don't know. That's not really Matt Ryan's fault. None of his receivers are healthy. But yeah, Chargers, Jaguars, there's really not a whole hell of a lot to say in that game, I don't think. You kind of thumb through it. You think about what you think about. You're like, are the Jaguars really what they showed against the Colts, or was that a mirage? You're like, probably a mirage. So you're like, all right, how do I think about like the picks in this game, and you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many weird small things to think about. Bleh. Hey, we're up to 14 likes. I appreciate that. We're doing great on the likes. If you haven't left one, consider doing so. It helps the stream out, perform a little better. I don't know. There's not much to say in the Chargers. They should win this game quite handily, even with their injuries to Justin Herbert. Hopefully, he takes this game easily. The Jaguars have a ferocious pass rush. That's the scariest part with Trayvon Walker and that other Josh Allen. The current winner of the Josh Allen title, by the way. So the best Josh Allen in the NFL technically goes to the Jaguars linebacker Josh Allen, who won the last meeting between the Bills and the Jaguars last season. That's who won the Josh Allen Bowl. That's facts, by the way. So the best Josh Allen in the NFL led Jacksonville Jaguars. Maybe there's something there. I mean, they're very well coached by Doug Peterson, and they've bought all the way into Dougie P. So, I mean, look out. You never know. This guy's won a Super Bowl before out of nowhere. Look out for the Jaguars. I'm not saying they're that good, but they have an infinitely more talented quarterback in Trevor Lawrence than fucking Carson Wentz was. So, I don't know, actually. Carson Wentz is a pretty wild talent. He just fucking lost the plot of how to actually play football. Yeah, the weaker the goofy Josh Allen is on the Bills. Yes, the goofy I can't say words with double H's in them. I always put a Y in there. My brain won't pronounce those words. Rams will beat the Cards by 10 or more. Yeah, I seen somebody say the Cardinals are going to win. Cardinals had to play a team to have an all-time collapse, and they got blown out by the Chiefs in week 1. They're playing bad football, but I think their plan is to play the first 6-7 games bad, then win the rest of the games. So that way they can avoid what happens all the time when they just mid-season collapse after about 7, 8, 9 games and lose the rest of them like they typically do. So maybe they're trying to do the opposite. But in all seriousness, they just kind of haven't looked that great this year. The Rams haven't either. But I can respect who they've lost to a lot more. I don't know. It's about the same, actually, for both teams. Weirdly similar seasons, too. That's kind of weird. CBS Dogs, they like Jets, Lions, Cards, Niners, and Jags. Cards should be able to keep it close because neither team is playing great enough. What's up, Mac Jones World? Neither team is playing good enough to be like, oh, yeah, I like this team 100%. 400. Yeah, I don't, game feels really close. You can't really tell who's going to take it. I like the coaching advantage for the Rams. The Rams, because they went from not good to halfway decent to, well, let's see what week 3 of the regular season brings the Rams. They seem to be progressing in a very linear path, whereas the Cardinals went bad, good, toward the end of the game, and now we're seeing what they're going to do heading into this game. They're certainly on a high point, but then again, that took one wild collapse by the Raiders to set up that comeback win for the Cardinals. So give me the Rams, who didn't, they just had to fend off a comeback by the Falcons, a team they don't really play that much and don't see too often, and it's just kind of a little sputter back by the Rams or by the Falcons there. I don't think the Rams, they looked way better after last week. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be nice. I don't know how the Ravens game's going to go. I'm kind of nervous, but, we'll see how we deal with Ronnie Stanley being out. Oh, boy, speaking of the Falcons and the Seahawks. Game of the year. This is the game that should have been flexed into Sunday and Monday night twice. They should just replay this 4 o'clock game. For the rest of football, for the rest of the season. Instead of playing the new games, they just replay this one all season. Yeah, I mean, it could go either way. It just because the Ravens' injuries are kind of significant, I would say, especially with Stanley. No, I feel like Patterson and Pitt are the only players on that entire team you can look at and be like, oh, those are decent players. Yeah, I'm very surprised he hasn't been someone hasn't reached out to try to trade for Cordarrelle Patterson. Patriots have figured out how to use him. Now everyone else is really good with him. So it's all right, dude, he can clearly be used somewhere else. Someone needs this dude. Someone make a trade. Jesus. Yeah, I like the Falcons in this game. They're just a better team. They should win this game. I mean, did you guys see the statement that Pete Carroll said he's going to let Geno Smith cook this week? I immediately made sure I picked the Falcons to win this week. I literally seen the hilarity. I hope you feel better too, Denny. Hopefully you feel better too, my friend. Get some good sleep and stuff. Feel better, my friend. But yeah, Pete Carroll's saying they're going to let Geno Smith cook this week. Tells me one thing. I'm staying far the fuck away from the Seahawks. Oh, no thanks. I'm not interested in whatever he's cooking. Smells bad. It looks funky. It's got this film on it. You can kind of peel the film off. It's disgusting. It's brutal. This game stinks. I'm glad it's not a primetime game. I don't know if I'd rather have the Seahawks, because this game could be comically bad, right? The Falcons and the Seahawks. This might just be sad bad, where you just feel bad watching the Broncos, 49ers at Broncos. You're just like, I don't feel good watching this. Because like it's two teams that aren't supposed to be that bad. Like this should be an exciting game, even at week 3. But things haven't really gone that well. But then you look at like the Falcons and the Seahawks. I'm like, I could have actually stomached that. Went in thinking bad football, hilarious gameplay, just, you know, two teams that are supposed to be NFL teams that are kind of manned by guys who don't really belong in the NFL anymore or like at all in the first place. That's a potentially funny game, but give me the Falcons in a game the Seahawks probably dominate and know them the way I fucking picked the Falcons. All right, here's a game we'll be covering. Potentially one of the games of the weeks. It's Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers taking on the Tampa Bay Bucks and Tom Brady. Pretty solid game, even though the Bucks are down a bunch of receivers. But all that really actually does is put the Bucks more in line with what the Packers have in terms of receivers. Not a whole lot. Like it's basically the lack of two teams with receivers game. The Packers did it to themselves. The Bucks are just the unfortunate victim of a fight and a sickness. I feel like I should have said a sickness first, then a fight. Because now everyone's like, well, how am I supposed to feel sympathetic about Mike Evans beating somebody up when you juxtapose it next to it? It's like, you should have did that in reverse. I don't really know who to pick in this game. I kind of like the Bucks right now because they're 2-0 and they were able to beat the Saints for the first time in a long time. And I feel like that's a good omen if you're a Bucks fan, right? You finally were able to beat the New Orleans Saints in the regular season. So that's significant, I would argue. That's a big deal. Have a good night, Joe. You're going to be rooting for the Packers? Fair enough. You got the Packers in this one? Okay. Yeah, I don't really see the point in me switching my pick in this game. Everything seems to be pretty sturdy. Brady even practiced on Wednesday to make sure the team was ready to go, so I think that day of practice winds up being quite large for these young Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When I say young, I'm saying that with like a slight hint of irony because I'm pretty sure they're one of the older teams in the league. It's like, well, your quarterback is about as old as they come. Yeah, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Are we missing anything like major statement-wise about any of these games? We're already to the primetime games. We're to Sunday and Monday Night Football now. Right about on time schedule. We're an hour into the stream. I'd move from 2.5 to 3 on Bucks and Packers. Did it? That's an interesting move. That means it sounds like the money's really coming in on the Packers pretty hard then. Aaron Jones was good last week. Yeah, Bucks played pretty solid defense. We'll see, though. Bucks also should get a slight advantage being the home team. They got a decent home field advantage. We can stay live for a little while longer. Probably do like I don't know, a little while longer, like a half hour or something. Mainly because I'm going to be live literally all day tomorrow. So it's quite the busy day. So I don't really want to talk too much. And I've been rather busy all day. So I kind of just want to chill out. But I've been busy since like 4 o'clock, really. So it's been whatever. All right. 49ers and Broncos. Let's make our way into these primetime games. Yeah, if I wasn't busy this afternoon, I was going to do a stream, but I wound up being kind of busy. So, I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully next weekend and during this week, I'm a little bit more like put together and things are a little bit taped up in terms of like my work stuff. Because I'm caught back up. Literally after tonight and tomorrow, I'm caught back up. So I'm quite happy about that. It's pretty quick. Yeah, we know that Lawan's out for the season, but how long is Dupree out? Yeah, that's why we're going with the Raiders. I don't really know what their line's going to do with fucking a bunch of nobodies against a top 5 to at least a top 10 pass rush unit in the Raiders. Probably higher than that. I'm just being completely generous by giving them that ranking. That way there isn't some fan of some like esoteric team that's somehow in the top 5 that's like, actually, us here at the Indianapolis Colts are actually number 5. And you're just like, oh yeah, everybody forgets about the Colts and how many sacks they always get. And it's like irony, but cause like the irony is you're being sarcastic, but it's like actually true. Everyone's always like, oh yeah, the Colts are a good team, I guess. They're consistently never putting out bad teams. It's kind of a wild situation in my opinion. I don't know. All right. Anyway, 49ers and Broncos. But yeah, we have Shane. Yeah. And with the Bills, we also talked about there's a number of players out for the Bills too, like Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, and Jordan Phillips were all ruled out today, I believe. All right, for sure, Denny. But yeah, so 49ers, Broncos should be a solid game. 1 week. All right, well, that's good at least. That's kind of good news for them. They need some kind of good news. One has to wonder how long Tannehill will hold on to his starting job. What's up, JJ? What's up, Shane? How you guys doing, though? You guys all right? Bills vs. Dolphins game of the year. Yeah, I mean, it's game of the season so far. Or it should be game of the week. I don't know if it's about game of the year already. We'll see how the end of the game comes out. I mean, it could be a blowout in one way, and then it's not really game of the year. It's just a blowout. It's going to be hard to top the Dolphins-Ravens game from last week as game of the week. It's really going to be hard to beat that one. Yeah, Kittle will be back for the 49ers. They have their cohesive unit of team back, right? They have Garoppolo, they've got Kittle, they've got they've got Debo, they've got all their pieces and guys and things that like win them games. They're going up against a team that doesn't seem to have its bearings quite on there yet. Things are kind of loose for the Denver Broncos, and you know how you can tell a team is just off and things are just not right for them because of like millions of tiny, like if you go look at the individual numbers, the Broncos are like moving the ball rather effectively. Actually, they're just not scoring. Like it's just not resulting in any points whatsoever. And it's like, oh, okay, they're just kind of off. They'll be fine once Wilson gets comfortable in the new system, once the new play caller is comfortable with Wilson, once Hackett settles down a little bit and kind of delegates some of his responsibility off so he can handle the game a little bit better. There's a number of things for the Broncos that they got to realize as a brand new team, basically, to just like pump the brakes on. Like Hackett was taking on too much. I think Russell's trying to do too much. Just take a couple steps back and walk into it instead of running to it, Get a walking start and then lead into the run. You don't gotta fucking come out of the gate swinging for a grand slam. It's like, man, look how bad the rest of your division is. Why are you playing like this? What's up with the fucking wild desperation play? You didn't need to do any of that, and you goofed the start of your season up being way too big for yourself in that Seattle in some of these games. It was the first time Russell's ever been outside of the offense that made him into the quarterback that he is today. Maybe he needs a little time. And guess what? This is the worst team to need time against, this 49ers defense. And they've looked pretty solid this season. So I would have to say that Broncos might be in for a little bit of a problem. Is basically the long way to say that. I think the Broncos are in for a little bit of a problem heading in against this defense with the lack of figured it out. I know Russell kind of understands how to play the 49ers. But I don't know if that makes any difference in this game. I don't know. I don't really see a reason why you'd think the Broncos could win, other than you just think this is the game that Russell and company click in together. Which, I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, they do so much so much damn work to get that thing going down there. Russ is constantly making "Let's Ride" videos. You know, that's all he does, right? He just stands in front of a mirror and like whips himself on the back and says "Let's ride" until they that's how he practices till they win. That's real, by the way. Yeah, he's tired of doing this to himself. He's ready to be things to be good again. He had to leave that white lady he was married to because she didn't understand why he beat himself when he misperformed in football. And Sierra just goes, "I understand," and she helps beat him up. That's the secret of their relationship, but nobody knows that except me. I have this information, but I refuse to leak it about Wilson because he beat Peyton Manning for a Super Bowl. And if you win Super Bowls against me, you could literally kill someone and tell me about it. I'd be like, didn't even hear you. Yeah, if you're one of the few quarterbacks that have actually accomplished that feat, like Drew Brees, and I can just completely ignore all the faults of Drew Brees and be like, what a great quarterback. What about the weird shit that he does? That karma will catch up to him. And now he's got 2 kids who wear ski masks like like New Orleans fucking hood rappers. They wear like those ski masks and shit. Like the ones that just leave little like things in their faces. Like, there we go. I told you, karma will come back and get him. That's all you gotta do is just usually wait like a little while, like a generation, then the kids fucking turn into the thing that, you know, old man doesn't really like. Welcome back, Denny. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should look up Drew Brees' shoe store picture with sons. And it's like, damn, I seen that baby with earmuffs on, and now he's throwing up gang signs and shit. Have a good night, Denny. See you tomorrow. Well, yeah, you would hope that Ohio State would kill Wisconsin. They're like projected to win like everything this year. All right, let's move on from this terrible Monday night game and go into what some people are calling a game of the century. Wow. Very dramatic, Giants fans. It's the Dallas Cowboys taking on the undefeated New York Giants. That's right, the undefeated 2-0 New York Giants, just like everybody predicted when the regular season began. We all had the Giants leading the NFC East through 3 weeks. Well, I don't know who's winning. Probably the Eagles are up based on like points scored or some shit. So you know the leading wild card team, the New York Giants, playoff team right now. The season just stopped. The Giants would be in, and now they're hosting Monday Night Football. Things could be healing up in football. They got an elite level defense by the looks of it with a shit tier offense, and I'm like, hey, I don't know. The Giants might be all the way back. Not like they have ever had like better offenses than this. Is just like they're like a touchdown a game away from just being what they've always kind of been. This, and if they have a bad defensive game, well, guess what? They're gonna lose. But hey, they got lucky. They're playing Cooper Rush and the Dallas Cowboys, and it took a broken Bengals team for the Cowboys to barely win that game, in which they almost blew it. So I would be very cautious if you're going to pick the Cowboys in this game. They're on the road. They got a backup quarterback starting. They almost blew that game in which they led 17-0 in for the majority of it, I believe, or 16-0 or whatever the score was. Then here come the Bengals tied up. Like that's a very concerning thing about the Cowboys. That was a concerning, almost blown game. I don't know. I'll take the Giants. They've played better defense. Their offense has been bad all year, but they seem to be able to win around whatever the hell's wrong with their bad offense this year. Yeah, like I said, I'll stay live for another half hour, but that's just about every game. I think that's every one of them. I think so. Like the Cowboys' offensive line has been so bad the last couple games, like this season, where it's like, well, something's gonna give at this point. They can't just keep running out like a squad of absolute nobodies. Dallas and Giants 17. Okay. Yeah, I would say the Giants don't really win games via the strengths of an offense, like most teams are able to. It seems like they're primarily winning games on field positioning and field goals and really good defense. And maybe if their defense scored a touchdown, they'll get some points on that way. Maybe a singular touchdown. Oftentimes it looks like they're scoring like maybe one a game and then field goaling their way up to 19. Typical Giants game. One touchdown on offense and then fucking 6 field goals to make up the difference. All right, that's a pretty good game. Looks like this stream's dying out pretty quick. Oh, never mind. People are still popping in and out. Oh, did pretty good though. This stream, good amount of likes. Not even done yet, so maybe it'll keep doing good. Hopefully, we'll see. The 16 likes, that's pretty solid. What are we doing views wise? Almost 100 on the VOD. That's not bad. Let me put this in. There we go. Kind of give it the last like 30-minute thing where we can just talk about whatever here and other NFL talk. So, yeah, that's because we're pretty solid on covering the games. So, biggest point difference is if the Giants can stop the run and Cowboys can intercept and sack. Yeah, and force turnovers with Daniel Dimes, not just with interceptions, but force fumbles via the sack with Micah Parsons. And then the big question is, how do the Giants mitigate the problems of their quarterback, which is, fumbling the ball on sacks and turning it over when pressured. So very big questions to see how the Giants handle this. But again, they have Brian Daboll, who's a very capable offensive mind, and pretty halfway decent pieces on offense if they could be used correctly. You're tempted Miami if Buffalo safeties. Oh, they're both out. Yeah, Jordan Poyer was ruled out with his foot injury. And Micah Hyde is out for the season with a herniated disc in his neck. So I don't know how if that tempts you. But again, it's not like Miami has all their secondary together either. So there should be a shootout guaranteed tomorrow evening or tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. That spells every bit of the word shootout out. It's like, oh, okay, so we're going to get like a crazy scored football game. There's no secondary play in tomorrow's games. Pass rank yards. Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys are down to like their backup quarterback with a backup offensive line and like I think they've had one healthy receiver all season. Yeah, I would imagine the Cowboys are kind of going through it in terms of their ability to throw the ball. Their passing statistics probably look pretty abysmal, especially since, like, no offense to Mr. Cooper, but like, he doesn't really provide much. Cooper Rush. Hey, we're at 17 likes now. Hell yeah. Ooh. Wonder if we'll hit the 20 on this stream. That'd be pretty crazy. If you haven't left a like, consider doing so. It helps the stream out. Helps with the interactions. It's free to do. Always double check. Yeah, the one game I'm very curious about outside of the Ravens and Patriots for like very obvious reasons is probably the Lions and the Bills, or the Lions and the Vikings. I think this could be a major statement game for a team like the Lions, and it could be a good game for the Vikings to get right after a bad loss against the Eagles. So like both teams come into this game with a lot to lose, really, because a loss here I would say the Vikings probably have a little bit more riding on this, because for the Vikings, they have like reputation, right? They come into this game and they play bad again at like with Kirk Cousins. Like he's not completing throws well. He's getting beat by the secondary really badly. The Vikings offense is stalling out really bad. And the Lions come in there and they just, like I just said, they dominate Kirk Cousins. They take control of the game. They lead it all the way through. They ride that momentum that's been building since last season and kind of just take advantage of a team that's been beating them up pretty badly the last few seasons. If that happens, the Vikings are in a bad situation because that's going to be 2 straight bad losses. So I don't know if we'll see that out of Minnesota. But again, this makes it kind of like weirdly artificially raises the stakes in the game where by week 3 you could be 1-2 if you have another bad game if you're Kirk Cousins. So there's this weird like pressure starting to build on these early season 1:00 games that probably usually aren't there. Usually he wouldn't have to think twice about having to deal with the Lions, but now he's dealing with the Lions team that actually kind of looks like it has an identity, has its shit sort of figured out, and does things that he doesn't particularly respond the greatest to in terms of like his football makeup. If that makes sense. I don't think it did. I don't think that made very much sense, but the few that are still hanging out, I think it did. It does, but also it's like I worry more about the Vikings pass rush. I hope it's kind of calmed down over the last couple of years and isn't quite what it used to be, because what it used to be was something that the Lions would get like sacked 8 times in a game, and it'd be fucking brutal playing Minnesota. They'd rip through the Detroit Lions offensive line. It was quite comical to watch. So that game always has intrigued me, this one. But again, they don't really have Mike Zimmer anymore. It's a whole new era of Vikings football, so kind of hard to make judgments on it. A game that I'm disappointed in this week, I would have to argue, is the Chiefs and the Colts. I came into this week with such high hopes, or at least when I was looking at the season for both these teams, I had quite a bit of hope about this game. I was like, all right, this is a pretty good early season game. I hope that we're not in one of them weird situations where we have to like get a bad version of this game because the Colts or the Chiefs aren't like exactly ready to go in this matchup. And, maybe if this would have been week 7, this is a better game. And it kind of feels like we're in that situation with the Colts, where they don't look good right now. They don't have anyone healthy. The receivers are all out. Just nothing seems to be going right for the Indianapolis Colts for them to get this upset in a game that they're usually very good about getting upsets in. This is like textbook written kind of like Colts upset game because this is the kind of game they do get upsets in versus the Chiefs. Yeah, and plus, like, the Lions have a decent offensive line now. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried about those two guys. Always have to be. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, the Chiefs and the Colts is like, man, that could have been a much better game if it would have been played a little later. Can't really be mad at anybody. They didn't know that the Colts were going to need a second to get their offense going. So that game's a bit disappointing. Maybe I had it built up a little too much in my head, though. Maybe that's mainly on me, and I shouldn't be being like, man, this is going to be a good one. But then again, I already do that so much with football, right? Like, where I'm, like, afraid to predict teams. I'm afraid to, like, do fantasy football right before the season starts. Like, there's, like, a number of things where I'm just like, oh, I don't know. And it's all out of this, like, fear of injuries. It's like, damn. But it's also, like, probably a good, like, see if there's any more fucking stupid injuries. David Bakhtiari's back. Cole Strange is expected to play now tomorrow, so that's cool. There were some comebacks. What's up, Daniel? Fancy seeing you here. No, I'm just kidding. What does that make you? Like number, like, 18? Let me check. Oh, now he's scrambling to leave a like before I notice. He's like, oh, please don't. Yeah, Shaq being out again's a big thing. I think that changes the difference of the game. Shaq Leonard, right? Shaquille Leonard. We're up to 18 now. Sheesh. Killing it. This stream's doing really good. Best non-game stream I've had in a minute in terms of total likes. And the stream might even hit 100 live views. I like, is he the really good linebacker, or is that somebody else that they drafted out of or am I thinking of the right person? Shaq Leonard. He's the one from the HBCU. Like South Carolina State or some shit like that. Let's see. Funniest game of the week is the Falcons and the Seahawks. That's just a humorous game between the two worst teams in football almost this year. Biggest who gives a shit game is this first two games right here is so bad. Saints, Panthers, and Texans, Cowboys. Those are four. That's two games, four teams no one gives a shit about outside of their immediate fan base. I've never met anyone who's like apathetic or sympathetic to the plight of those four teams that aren't also like, I've also been a fan of this team since they've been founded. With Bears fans, that'd be impossible. None of them people are alive anymore. Saints, possibly. Panthers, yeah, there's probably a lot. I think I was alive when the Panthers were formed. And the Texans, I definitely know I was. Darius Leonard. I think so. I believe so. Oh, his name. Yeah, okay. Does he also go by Shaq Leonard or something? Because I only know him as, I think that's what threw me off, is it's Darius. I think his first name's always listed as Darius on things. So I'm thinking Shaq Barrett also. So I think I'm throwing in a bunch of names. I could be having one of them things where you just don't see the names right. I don't know why when I see Darius Shaquille Leonard, I think Shaq Barrett. But I do sometimes. Oh, he goes by Shaquille? All right. Well, that's good to know. I usually just call him Leonard. Yeah, okay. We're thinking of the same guy then. But yeah, game of the week is probably this Bills-Dolphins game. Just kind of going over things in my head I've been thinking of this week. Atlanta wins. Denver is another. Yeah, I have the Falcons this week. Sometimes you have to know when to pick the Falcons, and this feels like when, the general rule is you should always not pick Atlanta. But when you got to pick Atlanta, you pick Atlanta. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you got to pick the Falcons, I know the rule is you never take the Falcons, always fade them. You know what I mean? They're the easiest. As if you're picking money line or like even if you're betting, I don't know. I think they're actually like a halfway decent spread team too, because they're always down by like fucking if this was like last year and say the Seahawks were good, it'd be like Seahawks minus 41. So like every game is some crazy line where Atlanta like covers it with fucking huge ease. It's like, why are we a 3-score fucking dog? What is this? Why are we minus 16 point underdog? This is crazy. Or why are we plus 16? What is this? And they win. They lose by 4, so they cover. I don't know. Betting's silly. I wouldn't want to get into betting. It'd be very stressful. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You mean East Coast? Oh, you're talking about where he was playing football. Yeah, that's true. He was in Cali, playing at the old stadium, Azteca. Packers and Bucks could be pretty good, just depending on what the team's offenses look like coming into it, like and how they're like. There are a few games where it's really like these are the hard games to pick this week. I would say this 49ers Broncos game is decently hard to pick. This game's hard to pick. This game's hard to pick. That's 3 so far. So Rams, Cardinals, Packers, Bucks, and 49ers, Broncos are hard to pick so far. Ravens, Patriots. I would say Raiders, Titans, but not really. Lions, Vikings is hard to pick. Dolphins, Bills is hard to pick. That's probably about it. That's about 5-6 games where you're kind of like, man, I feel like I could go either way here and not really be feeling correct about taking that pick. You could talk yourself into either team really quickly on those picks. Yeah, I just had to put it together that he's done a lot of West Coast work. And then when he played in the NFL, it's been like right there. It's just been chilling in the Midwest and the other hick locations. It's like, oh, hey, that's what I thought. And the stream did pretty good today. Especially for one that's not going to last as long as the other ones. Probably like another like 20 minutes or so. Unless the stream just completely dies out. And we'll just wrap it up and save it all for tomorrow. We got a long one planned. Should be a good night. Or, well, a good day, rather. Just a full day of football. Doing the Patriots and the Ravens at Patriots at 1. So it'll be 1 Eastern Standard. So it'll be essentially 14 hours from now is when we'll start the stream. But it'll be like the first set of games, I'm doing Ravens and Patriots. And then the later set of games, I'm doing the Packers and Bucks. Normally, I'd cover Sunday Night Football, but like it's just I don't really want to watch the 49ers and Broncos. Not really super interested in that game. Not gonna lie, I don't feel like sitting there and watching it. I'd rather just kind of like stay sediment and get some food in my system, have a new VOD ready to go, and pop over there, go live right before kickoff, and just watch back-to-back games and enjoy that. Plus, it's Brady versus Rodgers, and you don't get to watch that much. I don't know. Could also mess them up pretty bad. You don't really want to go play one of the better coached teams in all of football with major holes and major problems just having emerged. You know, especially now that they're down a player like Ronnie Stanley, like this late into the week. Couple problems. Yeah, Romeo Doubs. Yeah, there's some problems with that, Miguel. Like that could be a major problem week, and now the Patriots are coming in who tend to exploit problems. And Ronnie Staley isn't playing. Staley, whatever the fuck you say his last name. He's not able to go tomorrow because of an injury. So that's Matthew Judon's going to be that's that side of the field probably. It's going to be tough to get around that part of the field. We'll see how it plays. Do I think the Ravens probably should still be favored? Yeah, sure. They got Lamar Jackson, but I mean, we can definitely pull an upset in that game, I guess. Not really an upset though. I kind of disagree. I got the Bears winning that game. We kind of talked about it already, but like, I don't know. I'm just more impressed with how the Bears have played this year. Like they could have won, if not scored way more against the Packers had the refs not been completely in the side of the Green Bay Packers in that game. Terrible spots all game long for the Bears. Terrible decision making by the league for them on like challenges. Just seemed a little like the league was like, yeah, the Bears aren't making this game closer than it needs. Because like, I don't know. I've never seen a team look demoralized when penalties have been being called. Like almost faster than the Bears. Like they went, oh great, they're doing this shit again. Like it almost just there's this weird energy from the Bears when that started happening. Almost, I don't know. So I kind of like the Bears more. I feel like they're a little bit better than people think, and if they had somewhat better like offensive situation with the line and maybe one more receiver, they'd probably be pretty decent. Fields doesn't seem like a bad young quarterback whatsoever. So that's good. If you're a Bears fan, it seems like you got a good quarterback, but I mean, bleh. What does that mean, right? Damn, everybody's gone. Is there still people here or no? Is this stream dead? Yeah, it's down to like 3 or 4 people. Well, anybody got anything left? I think I might start to wrap up early then. Perhaps. What other info you got, Rich? Richard? Mr. Trickle? Dick Trickle? But I could stay live for a little while longer. Just depends what people want to talk about. Roquan Smith very likely could be out for the Bears. Yeah, he's dealing with a hip injury, Roquan Smith. Hold on, there's probably, let me go find the one of the lists by one of them YouTuber guys. Or not YouTuber, but Twitter guys. Just go to Adam Schefter real fast, see who's all out. Yeah, he's not very helpful right now for some reason. Yeah, there is a big list of players who are all like weirdly questioned. Let me we'll find it. Damn, all right, this stream's just about done. Down to 2 people left. We don't even have lurkers tonight. Sheesh. Houston should be last. Yeah, J.K. Dobbins back. Where the hell is the big list? Chris Godwin's and Akeem Hicks out Sunday versus the Packers. Donovan Smith is doubtful. Russell Gage, Fournette, Julio Jones are questionable. Justin Herbert is listed as questionable. Leonard's out. Alec Pierce is cleared concussion protocol. He's playing, so that's good. Let's see, where's the list? It must be on the wrong team or on the wrong guy. Let's go over to Adam. David Bakhtiari's back, so that's good. I would imagine if you're a Packers fan, that's super good news. Cole Beasley's going to play for the Bucs, so that's important. Ronnie Stanley's out versus the Patriots. Oh, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Here are the guys that are listed as out for Sunday. These are guaranteed out guys. So, there's Hunter Renfrow, Bud Dupree, Taylor Lewan, Micah Hyde, Dane Jackson, Ed Oliver, Jordan Phillips. So there's 2 of the Bills pass rushing. So that's interesting. Brevin Jordan, Shaquille Leonard, Harrison Butker, Michael Dana, Zach Wilson, Harrison Smith, Sammy Watkins. I think Sammy Watkins is out for the season, by the way. Chris Godwin, Van Jefferson, and Rondell Moore. I mean, they're playing well enough to where if they can just tread water to get to Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett's playing good enough, man. They played good against the Steelers. All Brissett has to do is bridge and close that gap and keep this team at like a Under 4 or 5 losses for Deshaun to come back to, and now that's a nightmare. They're at like 4 or 5 losses even. Oh boy, it's gonna be tough to deal with the Browns, Deshaun Watson, with a good football team being handed to him. We've never seen him be handed a good team. We've only seen him take over trash dumpster fires that the Houston Texans have had him deal with. And he somehow walked out of Houston with a +1 record in terms of like 500 and all that. So something to think about. Hey, we hit 20 likes. Let's go. We hit the like goal. Over 100 views on a live too. Sheesh. Did pretty solid. But yeah, that's quite the extensive list. But yeah, I was just went, yeah. I don't even know what I was saying or trying to say right there. My brain just short circuited. I apologize. Trying to think of what else could be discussed heading into tomorrow. Make sure you set your fantasy teams. You know, that's always important. I like to do that the morning of, usually like at like right about noon, to kind of switch my brain into football mode. I use that. Plus, like, you never know with the last minute sittings for these noon games. Yeah, you're just like, I don't know, or 1 o'clock games rather. You're like, it seems risky. Don't know if I should play this guy. And then you see that he's out. You're like, all right, there we go. Thank God. And then you have like that 30-minute window to go sign someone really fast and hope to God that he has a good game. Some of my best pickups have come that way, by the way, and just saying fuck it and picking up a guy that somehow, it would have been like David Njoku being just being on the bench for everybody in the free agent pool, picking him up and getting a 23-point performance out of him last night. It would have been something like that. That's usually me mid-season kind of form in fantasy. Right now, I'm still in the, I think this team can get it going phase. I got far too many good players for this to be a bad team phase. So we sit early with our fingers crossed. I also get DeAndre Hopkins back in week 7, so that'll be pretty big. For multiple teams, he's out. I decided late in the draft, since he was sitting there it's a 17-round draft. I think in round 15 or 14, I was just picking him up in every draft that I could. I was like, well, I mean, I know he's going to be out. I'll just sit with the guy on the bench all season. I don't give a fuck. I'm good to go. If I really have to, I'll just get rid of my backup quarterback and keep one for right now. Who gives a shit? My backup's Jared Goff. No one, if somebody really needs Jared Goff as a starter, then more power to him. All right, though. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I don't really know what else to stay live for at this point. Detroit Tigers won 7-2. Oh, that's good. Glad to hear. I still got to do one more Tigers game to end the season. Justin Herbert game time decision. Chase Daniel on standby. Still trust Chargers if JH is out this week. I might put the caveat on that game, but I also don't think I need to. I'll stick with Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel is one of the better backups for like backup quarterbacks, so I feel rather confident that I can just stick with the Chargers pick over the Jaguars in this week. It's one of them ones where I think there are multiple reasons why you could pick the Jaguars, because you just don't really know, right, with the Jags. If they can get a big win this week and kind of like a bigger, it's like one of them ones. If like you're not confident in it, I would avoid it. If Herbert doesn't wind up playing, you can avoid it. Wait till you find out about Herbert and then make your decision. So like how to like how to sail the course of that game, right? You're like, well, if Herbert plays, they're gonna probably win by quite a bit, but if he doesn't, they'll probably win, but by like quite a reduced amount or by like quite the reduced like margin of victory in that game. You don't really know what the new outcome's gonna be with sans Herbert. But with Herbert, they should dominate the game. There shouldn't really be much of a closeness to it. It should almost feel alien, like you're watching two different sports being played against each other at the same time. Yeah, Richard or Shane. Sorry, wrong person. I appreciate it, man. I like the questions. I like getting questions like this and just sharing my thoughts with people. Tigers play the White Sox tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be watching football all day tomorrow, so I won't be able to tune in. What time do they play the White Sox tomorrow? Is it like an afternoon game? Let me check. Oh yeah, I won't be watching that game. Maybe Tuesday I might tune into a Tigers game in the evening or something. Oh, you guys, the Astros won? Well, that's cool. Glad to hear, Kev. Glad to hear. 100 wins. Sheesh. Yeah, that's far too early for me, Nick. What games am I streaming tomorrow? The Ravens at Patriots at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, and then the later I'm going to go like off the air for like 20 minutes, and then come back and do the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Packers at Bucks as well instead of Sunday night. Because Sunday Night Football next week looks like absolute misery. Or, well, tomorrow's Sunday night game looks like absolute misery in the 49ers and the Broncos. I have no desire to watch that. So the plan is to just shoot the game straight through and just deal with it that way. Oh, yeah, it's a tough one. I would definitely agree it's a tough one. Especially since they're both dealing with receiver issues, but again, the Bucks might have a little bit better receiver help in terms of what the Packers have available. Nah, I'm not comfortable. I wouldn't know what to pick in that one. I actually picked the Panthers to win that game because I just don't really trust the Saints right now, having lost a game to the Bucks, a team they never lose to. Very, very questioning of the Saints, especially with all the weird injuries outside of just Alvin Kamara. Hey, man, what's up, Kryptonian? My thoughts on the Bills game. Well, if you want like a full breakdown, I can provide, like, you can rewind and go like to the thing, but I can provide like my quick thoughts on the game, right? I know both teams are dealing with some injuries. The Bills a lot more in terms of like their top defenders. You know, no Trey White, no Jordan Poyer, no Micah Hyde, no Ed Oliver, no Jordan Phillips. Right, they're down quite a bit. But I also wonder how much does that really matter? For the no, I'm not. I'm sorry, Kev. Sorry, it's just not my sport. You know, I wonder how much it matters when your offense is Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, sure, they're probably going to give up points tomorrow, but can the Miami Dolphins, even with all that the Bills are missing, keep pace with what the Bills are capable of doing? They pull their punches and they can score 41 points in a game. That was fast what they did to the Titans. They did that in like a quarter and a half, and then that was, or 2.5 quarters, and that game was over. It was effectively over at halftime. There was no game to be played left after half. That was an absolute beating by that team. So I don't know, and I don't know if Miami is the team that struggled to put 20 points up against the Patriots when they were given the ball 1 billion times. Or are they actually what we've seen against the Ravens, the team that can fly back into games and stay with anybody in the league? So we still have all these weird questions about Miami, and, you know, like they haven't, you know, this is a big game for them. So I don't know. I got a lot more trust in the Bills right now than I do the Dolphins. Maybe like if the Dolphins were fully healthy, that might make some difference in the way I look at it. And will the Dolphins score? Yeah, I'm predicting a shootout now, like a kind of like a 42-45 type game. Not that high, like 32-35 type game. But I mean, it could break down into some absolute chaos. Crazy though. When teams win like 34, 33, it's like sheesh. But yeah, I project that to be quite the offensive showcase. I would say the Bills and the Dolphins. The Cougars won, your Houston Astros won. Now you need is your Texas. Hey, there you go. Then it'd be a great sports weekend, right? A lot of big W's. Farming up dubs. Hey, over 20 likes. Well, all right. That's about it for the stream tonight. I didn't want to go for 2 hours, and we're at an hour 50. So, unless you guys got any reason to want me to stay live, I can stay live. I don't have any time limits, but I am going to be live for the majority of tomorrow. So there is always that. I'm just kind of getting worn out. And I just want to, I like to preserve as much of my vocal cords as I can on Saturday nights and heading into Sundays. That's why I usually kind of keep the short hangout like brief. Again, I could stay live for a very long time. The length of time and me ending the stream is, you know, kind of whatever I choose to do here. There isn't a, other than I just, you know, the stream seems kind of like it's at a pretty natural endpoint. You know, we're at 11:30 p.m. You know, we're a half hour away from midnight, so you know we're at a decent thing. But all right, fun stream, everybody. I appreciate everyone coming out and hanging out and chit chatting and talking about the games tonight. It was a fun stream while I was pumping and you know I was jumping, which was the majority of the good part of it. So appreciate that. It was very fun. You know, we'll just keep on grinding as always. Tomorrow's a busy day. Monday will be a busy-ish day. Tuesday we'll be uploading the picks videos. I'll probably be uploading more of them shorts as the as they go along, and you know maybe some more longer form videos. See you later, Shane. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, yep. It's usually a little bit more bumping on the live stream days too. At least over 10 people. Gonna just work on uploading video content too. I gotta go harder on the video stuff on the other side, like on the non-streaming side, to kind of build this up a little bit. I think once I'm settled back into my work, I can actually like take the time out on Tuesdays and film content, whether that be like filming video gameplay and then doing something. And yeah, we'll see though. All right, that's about that for tonight. Got a fun stream tomorrow. Should be good. Should be a fun, I don't know, like what, 24 hours ahead. We won't be hanging out at this time tomorrow, but like we'll have hung out all day tomorrow, so should be a good day. All right, I appreciate you all hanging out. Thank you kindly. I'll see you tomorrow if you come by for the games. If not, I'll see you when I see you next. Go Lions, go Tigers, and of course go Patriots. And yeah, take it easy. I'll see you tomorrow night.